And she said the doctors came out and told them, like, at this point, is not looking like there's anything else we can do. Like,
Wow.
it looks like he's not gonna make it. So they legit told my family that.
To like prepare for you to not make it.
Yeah, yeah. They like, cause my brain was bleeding so bad. You know, they did the surgery. They actually had to take half of my skull off.
Dream Team.
Dream Team.
Dream Team Podcast. Dream Team Podcast, Episode 3. Hey guys, my name is Tyler Zesh with the Dream Team of Spokane. I'm here with the CEO, Zach Allen, and our Vice President, Alejo Marino. Today we're joined with a special guest, Miracle J from Houston, Texas. How's it going, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here.
We're super stoked to have you here.
Yeah.
Just to start off, if you just want to introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure, man. So my name is Miracle J, soon to be real estate agent. I am a traumatic brain injury survivor since about 2009. You know, I had things lined up a certain way. I was going a certain path of my life, and all of a sudden I wake up in a hospital and my life is turned around. And I chose the path of resistance opposed to the path of least resistance. And it's been a tremendous reward taking this path in a short.
Man, just even hearing that first initial statement, it's got me in my feelings, and I feel chills and whatnot. But do you mind going a little more into detail about what exactly happened and how you persevered and got to that next level and continue day by day?
Yeah, for sure, man. So basically what happened, 17 years old, I wake up regular day, run my routine, get ready to go to school, get to my high school parking lot, pretty much blink, and I wake up in a hospital to find out that a car had run over my head, and I had a traumatic brain injury. I was in a coma for about a month. I wake up, half of my body isn't working. The next years of my life would be filled with anger, suicidal thoughts, depression. Not sure if I was going to graduate or not. Rehabbing my body, relearning how to walk, talk, and it was pretty much, if I was to sum it up in one word, I would say it was a rebirth, because I had to learn everything over from scratch. And I chose to fight through it. I made some decisions that resulted in me actually thriving rather than just surviving.
That's amazing. Just hearing all that. And, you know, it's a blessing that we have you here and can even be in your presence here and just that initial beginning to the story. I'm sure there's much more to it. What about family? You got any relatives or anybody that was going through this with you and that it affected immediately, or anybody that kind of helped you support system-wise through this all?
Yeah, most definitely. Glad you asked that, because that was a big
Well, I would have needed somebody there with me, because that's tough. I just went through an ACL injury and I needed somebody, so that messed with you mentally too, but it doesn't compare to what you've gone through. So that support system, you said you got some family?
Yeah, man, support system is huge. It doesn't even have to be a big injury as far as what I went through. You know, there's athletes that go through injuries that put them out for a long time and really messes with their career. And without that support system and having someone there to help you out or even give you encouragement, it's hard going through something like that alone. But for me, you know, much respects and shout outs to my mom, because she was there pretty much the whole way, man. She went through a lot. She was going through things emotionally. She lost her job to be able to stay at the hospital with me and through everything. And also, I gotta give a bigger, well, I can't say bigger, I can't compare it, but also a big shout out to my dad, man, because he was the one that jumped into the crossfire because there was a lot of women in my family that were showing me support, which was my mom, my grandmother, grandmothers, the ladies of the family,
Yeah.
which they wanted to do everything for me. They wanted to, baby me. I couldn't.
Yeah. Somewhat enabling.
Yeah, enable. I couldn't progress that way, and he kind of jumped in that crossfire and took those shots when everybody was going against him. But he would tell them, no, let him learn himself. Don't feed him. Let him.
Because they were trying to baby you, like halt your progression, but your dad was like, it's tough, it's hard, but he's got to like figure this stuff out on his own, learn it, so he can get as close back to normal as possible. Is that kind of how it was, or?
Yeah, it was. You could say it was tough love.
Yeah, for sure.
Tough love.
2-part question. So how did it happen? So we met in Florida, and I've heard this story once. I just can't remember. So it's like, how did it happen? I feel like I remember something about skateboarding or something like that.
Well, skateboarding was my passion. It was my life. It was everything for me. It didn't happen while skateboarding. Pretty much the whole incident is just a mystery. The closest story that I've gotten, which doesn't make sense to me, is that I was in my high school parking lot and I was sitting on top of a friend's car, like the hood. Mm-hmm. And then the car starts moving. My foot gets caught in the wheel. I fall to the ground and the car ends up on my head.
So do you think it was like one of your friends messing with you or something?
I'm a person who takes full 100% responsibility for my life. So
Sure.
even if I walked out into the middle of the street and a car was speeding and accidentally hit me, I still take responsibility. I shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
And I should have been more aware. So even though that's what happened, if that's what happened, I take responsibility because also I know who I was at that time. I was kind of immature, so I was probably playing around.
Well, yeah, you were
mature 17.
Yeah.
That's kind of a,
So another question I had is, like, what year in high school were you? You mentioned you were 17. Was it your junior year, senior year?
Junior year.
So what did like finishing high school look like?
It was foggy, man. It was foggy because you got to remember after it happened, I couldn't talk anymore. I couldn't talk
That's
anymore.
crazy.
And I'm grateful that I kept my mental stability. I didn't lose much of that.
Yeah.
So I was homeschooled for most of it after I learned how to talk again.
Dang. So your parents pretty much homeschooled you, put you through the rest of high school?
Yeah, and it was also part of it was in speech therapy. They would help me with some of the classes. Then when I left therapy, I was just homeschooled at home.
Yeah, I think another reason that like I wanted to ask that question is not very many people know this, but my senior year, I had this freak accident that pretty much stopped me from going to college and playing baseball or pursuing anything in athletics because I'd get these migraines and I'd go blind. And I missed like 55 days of school, and I wouldn't even have graduated. My mom helped me do my homework because these migraines would make me go blind, and I'd puke and get sick. And the only way to make them go away was to sleep. And then the doctors found like all this fluid in my brain, and then it like miraculously went away.
wow.
It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. So that's just the reason I was seeing if something was like that because I was to the point where I couldn't function. I couldn't even do schoolwork.
Yeah, that's intense, man.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
intense.
Now I just feel like an ass because I just never went to school because I didn't like that shit. I didn't fucking like getting up early and going to school. So now I'm like, shit, man, hearing things that others have gone through and what position you guys were put in, it just puts a different light on things. And that's pretty powerful, man.
Yeah, trust me, if I had the choice, man, I probably wouldn't go to school either.
So I think when I heard you talk in Florida, I think if I remember this correctly, didn't you say when you first found out about everything that you were very negative? Like when you first woke up, got out of it, you're negative. And if I remember correctly, that actually prohibited you from regaining certain functions, or am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, 100%, man. Because in the beginning, when I first found out, I was angry at everybody, including myself. I was fighting doctors, cursing everybody out.
Damn.
At first, man, I even remember vividly when I transferred from the hospital bed to therapy to begin my therapy. And they would roll me in my hospital bed, and they rolled me to the therapy building. And on the way there was a glass, like a mirror in the ceiling. And I vividly remember looking at myself and seeing how I looked because I was like kind of deformed. And I gave myself one of these
He flips himself
in a
off.
mirror because I was just angry, man. And I was pissed off. And in the beginning of a brain injury, that's when people will work the hardest. That's where you regain most of your function back.
Yeah.
And I wasted time being angry and fighting therapists. So
And then what did that like? If you wouldn't have had that attitude, like what would your reality look like today?
I would probably be much more fluid with my walking. My arm would probably be more rehabbed and more functional. I would have a lot more function over my body.
Dang. So I remember too, when in Florida, you were talking about kind of the difference in mindset. So like, what could you share, or like kind of what's your message on that part of your experience? Because I remember that's, in my opinion, the most powerful part of your story is kind of your reflection on that, and then kind of how people take their life for granted. So I'd love for you to speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I remember that speech in Florida, man. That's how I started. I looked at everybody and said, all of you are taking your life for granted. Yeah, because it's a fact. So mindset is everything. Mindset is everything, because I learned when I reflected back on that time in rehab, it was easy to fight therapists and not want to go to therapists and say, fuck you, I'm not doing this, until I changed my attitude. And once I started going with the flow and being more positive, I started to see myself progress.
Yeah.
And my body started moving and I started making a lot of progress. And I'm like, man, the negative attitude wasn't conducive or productive in any way. It was just a waste of time. And a positive mental attitude, shout out to Napoleon Hill, changed everything. And I think that's transferable into every aspects of a person's life. If you go into anything with a shitty attitude, you're gonna get shitty results or no results.
Yeah.
Or negative.
110%. I agree 110%.
Yeah, or even negative results, versus just having a positive mental attitude and setting your mind on the positive aspects of things, and you get results and things.
Manifesting that future, whatever it is that you're looking to do and accomplish.
Boom.
I learned that at a young age too, and I kind of got away from it because life happens and you kind of get stressed out, and you start dealing with things you haven't really encountered. And
especially when you start getting married, have kids, stuff like that.
I mean, and honestly, not that family's a distraction, but it does take you away from you and who you are as an individual, because now you have more aspects to your life and there's more dynamic to it, where you do need to make sure that the wife is happy.
Yeah.
You do have to make sure the kids have what they need and they're in bed and all that kind of stuff, if you actually care. And that kind of takes the focus off of you, but reminding yourself that, hey, whatever I put my mind to and what I can do, it really helps you progress in life. And that was actually one of the big things that I got out of my trip about a year ago when I went to Florida to initially talk to Brian Casella and hear from him, is they reminded me that you got to dig down in that core and find who you are and be okay with that person. And if you're not okay with it, you change that mentally and make the adjustment to produce what you want in life. And since then, it's been night and day in just a year. So I could definitely relate to that manifestation and changing that negative mindset to the positive.
Yeah, definitely, man. It is a huge factor that people neglect.
So what was the turning point for you? What
That's
helped
what I
you
was gonna
kind of
ask.
flip that switch and take you from the negative to the positive?
The turning point was, I believe it was when I started to regain function back. Like, it was a night and day difference between when I had a negative attitude and how everything was playing out versus when I decided to make a change and said, let me see what the other side is like. What if I just stopped bitching, stopped complaining, and decided to think, okay, well, this is what the situation is. What can I make going forward from here?
Yeah.
Because that's how I can look at it in the positive light. And things just changed, man. Like, people started reacting to me differently, more positively. They respected me more. Yeah, I got a lot more respect, and my body stopped getting sick like it used to be, and I got more motivated. I had more energy. And after I experienced that, there was no going back to depression and being negative. It was just, that's all it took. It was a instantaneous change.
Do you know about how long since you woke up from your accident that it took until that change happened?
Too long. Too long.
Roughly
man.
a year?
Without being
Roughly.
too hard on yourself.
Yeah, roughly it was I'd say I was in that depression negative stage for about a year and a half, 2
Oh.
years, man.
Dang.
It was a long time.
So that probably is a lot of the reason your progression was halted then, because you could have probably had 2 years of just grinding back to it. But I'm sure some of it too is probably with how young you were too.
Yeah,
Not that that's
and-
an excuse, but shoot, I mean that's a lot to ask for a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, but I mean, no excuses, man. Like, and that probably even made it worse because being that I was younger,
Yeah.
if I had that positive mental attitude or that go-getter attitude, being young would have helped and played on my side, because while I was in the hospital and rehab, there were people in there that were older that had brain injuries, and there was little hope for them.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's just the positive way of seeing it. Like, that's amazing. It's crazy to hear that. So then how long was it before you felt somewhat, not like normal's a thing, but before you felt like you can live through the day without any crazy adjustments and not have to depend on anybody in any way after that year and a half, 2 year mark?
You said how long after that did I feel like I could be like more independent?
Yep.
I say, okay. There was a moment here. I remember there was times when I was in a wheelchair that my people had to go to work, so I would be at home by myself. And there was a moment where I got really, really depressed. Like, my depressed, if it was on a scale of 100, I was at like 120.
Damn.
And I literally made a decision. I was sitting in front of a TV in a wheelchair, crying or whatever. And I said, I never want to feel like this again. I don't want to live my life in a wheelchair. I don't want to. This can't be my life. This can't be life. And I said, I'm never going to feel like this again. From there, every single day after that, there was a hallway in front of my front door of my apartment. And I would literally roll my wheelchair out there at 12, I remember this, noon every single day. And I would walk up and down that little hallway as many times as I could until I was nearly like limping and had to hold on to the wall to get inside.
Dang.
And I did that every single day until I got out of the wheelchair. And also another thing that I did is I started diving into self-development. And I worked on myself every single day. I was obsessed, until a point where I guess I hit what they would call critical mass.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to a point where no matter what would happen to me, whether I got hospitalized, had a seizure, anything that I had a legit reason to be mad for or upset about, my mind couldn't go there. My mind could not go negative. It would automatically switch to seeing the best or seeing a positive in it.
Almost
in
like
every
you
situation.
hypnotize yourself to like years of development to just train your brain
Yeah.
to react a different way.
Re-anchored that emotion that comes with whatever it is that's physically taking place on this world.
Yeah, man. It was like whatever happened, like the situation would hit, the negative emotion may pop up for a second, but my brain automatically switches it and like, what's the positive in this?
Yeah.
Wow, you just had a seizure. Okay, well that's a lesson in that. There's a lesson in this. Now you know what not to do.
Yeah, I always learn too, like through, I mean, we were talking about it today with even this meditation. And it's, I think a lot of people don't realize this, that your mind is like a filing cabinet. And once you realize that a thought can come in, sometimes we don't know why thoughts come in. You'd be just chilling, eating cereal, and you remember the time you puked in 5th grade in front of all the cute girls. You don't know why you thought that. You're like, why am I thinking about this right now? So it's just crazy though, but like I learned this through meditation, but it seems like you learned it as well, but that you can organize all your thoughts and then whatever passes in, sure, it's okay to feel that initial emotion with whatever, that thought brings you, but then to then notice in that moment it's coming through and then to almost organize it and flip it into whatever you have trained your mind to do. That seems like kind of what you're on right there.
Yeah, I mean, you can use a variety of things. That is one way you can do it, through meditation and following it where you want to and deciding how you want to feel about that or where you want to store that. For me, it just came from all the positive information that I was soaking in and the applications of all of it, where it was like literally there's no benefit once you realize that there's zero benefit from thinking it of anything in a negative way or a complaining way, then you know that it's a waste of time. So you literally do the opposite. You say, okay, if I can look at any situation negatively, I can also look at any situation positively.
That's good.
And if I can look at it positively, then there must be a benefit to everything. Everything that happens for me, not to me, has a lesson in it.
Tony Robbins says that too.
The 4 and 2 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins says everything is happening not to you, but for you.
Before you.
Yeah.
Everything is literally just a reframe. Once I learned the technology of frame control and how you frame everything, I am a master at reframing.
Okay, so go a little in depth for the listeners for what that framing means.
What frame control is?
Yep.
Okay, so
And maybe give an example or two.
Yeah.
Sure. So any situation you have you could take the analogy of a picture. So you have the actual picture, which would be the incident, the event, whatever. That's the actual picture. That picture is inside of a frame. If you put, let's say, a picture of a piece of shit,
Okay, I'm with you. A piece of shit in a
and
frame.
you have a piece of shit in a frame. Now the situation is what it is. It's a piece of shit. You
Yeah.
can't change it. But you could change the frame. You can put that piece of shit
In the
in
picture.
a frame of gold, diamonds,
Or you can enjoy it and put it in like a toilet seat lid. Instead
or you
of-
could
like that's where it belongs.
We're getting in the woods here. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
And for example, you say you want to. I'll look for a few examples.
Yeah.
The first one I'll use is my situation. Being 17 and having your hair run over by a car. What are a couple ways you can look at it? Which I've had both sides. The first way I looked at it was, oh man, I can't skate anymore. I had plans to do this and that. I'm losing out on years. My friends are doing this and I'm stuck in a hospital and blah, 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 all this negative stuff. That's one way to look at it. Now, what's another way I can look at it? Oh man, I was going down a really bad path at the time. If this didn't happen, then I probably would have ended up dead, or I probably would have ended up, who knows, man, with a bunch of kids, or taking a path of somewhere I didn't really want to be. I would have ended up in college, which I wasn't passionate about at all, but I would have fell into that role. I can legit see that.
Yeah.
And now, what am I doing? I'm speaking. I'm doing something that I love doing. I'm being flown out to Miami. I'm helping people. I'm doing a bunch of positive things. And I'm helping people. It's not just about me anymore.
And you're getting your real estate license.
And yeah, there you go. Throw that in there. But yeah, it's just how you frame it. I mean, a person could literally, let's say, a football player is playing football. He's pro, and he has an injury that completely ends his career. He can't play football anymore.
Yeah.
You can frame that in a positive way. You could frame that in a way of, okay, well, a football career is limited by age.
Yeah.
If I would have never had this injury, I would have never started looking into other ways of investing my money.
Right.
And that person might go into real estate. They might go into investing in anything and become a millionaire and set themselves up for life. But anything you could frame into a positive way is just a mindset.
That's amazing.
I told you this guy changed my life, dude.
Yeah. Sauce. Dropping dimes on us right
Yeah,
now.
I know.
Hey, quick question on the personal side from me, because I was kind of curious. My dad had brain surgery about 12 months ago. He lost his whole entire left side.
Wow.
How long did it take you to rehab enough to where you could walk by yourself?
Good question.
Obviously,
Yeah.
everybody's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's going to be completely different. But I'm just curious for myself because he's not there yet. And
Yeah, no worries, man. I get it. And that's the question everybody wants to know. Who's
For
had
sure.
a brain injury?
Yeah.
That's the question I want to know. When I was going through it, I was like, man, how long is this going to take?
Is that kind of
man?
luck too, or is,
I wouldn't say it's luck,
It's
but there's a lot of different variables that
For
play
sure.
into
yeah,
it.
that's
your
kinda what I'm
mindset,
curious.
your
Yeah.
mindset,
Again, age.
Your fitness,
your therapy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. I was just curious.
Yeah, and let me speak on that. So, yeah, therapy can help to a certain extent. For me, this is how therapy went for me. I was living in a rehab for a while until eventually insurance didn't want to pay for it anymore. So they sent me to an outpatient therapy. And I've been in outpatient therapy a few times, but what would happen is what you do when you go to therapy, you set goals of why you need therapy. What do you want to accomplish out of therapy? And by that time, I had fixed my mindset. So let's say I would set goals for, I wanted to walk such and such feet, or I wanted to get whatever movement. And I would complete these goals so fast that insurance didn't want to pay anymore. They was like, all right, you met your goals, so there's no reason for us to keep paying. And they would kick me out of therapy. Then they let me back in, and then I meet the goal, they kick me back out. And that's why I took it upon myself to walk that hallway and say, fuck the therapist, man. I got to do it myself. So for him, and I got another example for you. In Miami, there was Arthur. Arthur.
I met him in Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, you know Arthur. So his uncle had, I think, cancer or something, and he couldn't walk. He couldn't walk for a long time. And I believe it was a mindset shift for him. And it was also help of family played a big role in that too, and having a support system. So I can't really give a timeline for him. For me, I think it took maybe a year and a half, 2 years. But I would say, man, just make sure you give him that support, that encouragement, and make sure he's taking initiative himself to want to get better. Because
I think that's one of the hardest parts for him.
yeah,
I mean, I know he wants it, obviously.
Mhm.
I mean, he does want to get better, but it's draining. I mean, it's draining. I think he goes up and down every single day. in regards to like mindset wise and everything. Each day is different a little bit. But yeah, for sure. No, he's doing really good. He's well on his way.
Yeah.
He's well on his
good.
way. I think he could walk by himself. He's just scared too right now.
Keep pushing
But-
him, man.
But yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I got a question. So you're 17, like when this happened. How long? Because like right now, I think everyone in this room would say, and then knowing you longer, meeting that modern success, me personally, it seems like your health considered to where you were is really good right now. So how long do you think it took you to get back to kind of like where you're at right now?
To get to this point,
Yeah.
specifically. Man, these timeline questions, man.
He's like, I don't even think about it. It's just a blur. I just do.
Let me see, man. Because once I reached a certain point, my progress is very minuscule.
Like plateau.
Yeah, it almost
Yeah.
like plateau. And
Yeah.
now I still get better every now and then. Like for instance, I had a situation happen where a situation motivated me. And you know, my left arm has been one of the main limbs that would progress the slowest.
Sure.
Like little to no strength in it. And that situation resulted in me doing push-ups with my left hand.
Wow.
Like, and one-handed push-ups. So that was a big jump of progress. So I can't say I stopped making progress.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think I reached that level where it started being minuscule, maybe
Yeah.
about 2000. It happened in 2009. Maybe 2000. It was past 15. Maybe 2000, around 2017.
So that was like a 8-year battle to get to that point, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
still a battle, man. It's still a battle. Now is not as much physical. Every day is still a mental battle, man.
Sure.
Because walking out in the streets and being different, I'm still learning to own myself
Yeah.
completely. But yeah, I would say.
So what are some of your goals like with your health? Like where like what are you still trying to accomplish? Like do you one day want to ride a skateboard again, or like what's like the goal there?
I don't know if I take the skateboard. I can't lie. If I can get on a skateboard and ride a skateboard,
Hey, you know, we're about to stop
I'll
this
be
podcast.
kicked
Go buy him a
back, man.
skateboard real quick.
Yeah.
yeah, I can't
Dream
lie. I
team
would say I know
skateboard.
it's risky, but I would take the chance. man. But my goals right now, physically, I do believe I can get a lot better. I don't care if I'm 50 years old, man. I never take the mindset that this is it. I never think that this is it.
Yeah.
So I still believe I was in therapy for not too long ago for, what was it? My leg or like balance or something.
Sure.
And I had the therapist I was working with, he kind of pissed me off because he told me something negative in regards to recovering.
Yeah.
And he told me like, at this stage, after how long it's been, I don't expect to see too much more progress out of you.
Yeah.
And like in my head, I gave him a middle finger, but I still believe I can rehab my body to at least 90%. And I'm going
Wow.
for it. I'm going for it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Maybe it's completely not true.
But that's
Maybe
your
it's impossible.
mindset.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's the worst that can happen if I go for it?
It doesn't happen. That's the worst thing.
Exactly.
You reach 89%.
Exactly.
So just words of wisdom wise for those who are listening and may not have, some of the, I don't want to say limitations, but some of the battles that you've had to experience personally, someone that's hasn't had any major injuries, they just lack of motivation
Or depression. Or anxiety. Yeah.
or, something on that level. Like what are some words that you can give them to kind of help them get out of that fog or that mindset to help them make that switch for themselves and start progressing in life?
Okay. Couple things. So number one, and I live by this, I teach this every time I speak, is number one, it has to be a decision. You have to make the decision that you don't want to be there. You have to make the decision that you want to have a powerful mindset, that you want to never be depressed again. You got to make a decision on what you want. And it's not just a decision like you just speaking it. No, because the universe knows when you really make a decision. When you really make a decision, watch how the universe, God, whatever you believe in, starts to help you and put things in your path.
That's good.
To help you reach that.
Yeah.
And that's how you know when you've really made a decision. And it's not just...
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was going on a rant.
No, I was I was about to go on a rant too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's not just a decision. You also have to put in the work too. So
you know what's crazy about you saying how about the universe giving you stuff is we're flipping houses and we're looking for investors to help us. And we've been putting this out in the universe and talking for the last 2 weeks. And my cleaner, the lady that cleans my houses, and that's not to demean people who clean houses. It's just that's at least the last person I would suspect to tell me this. But she says, I got like $500,000 I can lend to you to help you flip houses. So it's crazy what you put into the world brings back to you in the almost sometimes in the least expected ways humanly possible.
I feel like you have to be specific though. That's one thing I've learned with my experiences with it is like as long as you're specific about what it is you want, and you may not know exactly how it's
got to come from your soul.
But as long as that end goal is clear as day, the universe puts the opportunity in front of you. You just have to see it once it's there.
Because would you agree with that? It just has to like come from your soul.
Yeah.
There's a hard way to explain that, but it has to be real.
Making the decision is one thing. So they got to make the decision to want to change their mindset. What other things would you advise as like a first step for getting out of that fog and making a change in your life?
Yeah, the decision and also, just the decision and action. And action, whether it's seeking the knowledge of how to do it, or if you decide to go the trial and error route and just take that first step that you know for sure is a step towards it and just keep taking those baby steps towards it.
So this might be a little bit of a backtrack, but I mean, Miracle J, it's just in the name. So, I mean, honestly, like, how close were you to not being able to make it?
Oh man.
Do you know?
Yeah, sorta, kinda. Mm-hmm. So I've heard things from my mom. I just had a talk with my grandmother. I took her out to eat a couple of days ago, and she told me as well. So. Yeah, from what my grandmother told me yesterday, she told me that, my mom was in the room with me while I was in a coma or, always up there and people were in the waiting room. And she said the doctors came out and told them, like, at this point, it's not looking like there's anything else we can do. Like, wow. It looks like he's not going to make it. So they legit told my family that.
To like prepare for you to not make it.
Yeah. They like, cause my brain was bleeding so bad. They did the surgery. They actually had to take half of my skull off.
Wow. And do you know what the size of car was?
It was a 1994 Lexus LS.
Okay, so it wasn't like a truck, but
no,
car's a car.
Car's a car, bro.
Yeah,
I think I looked up the weight of it. It was like 4,000 pounds.
Oh my god!
It just gives me chills thinking about it.
You're actually the first person I've ever met that's been in a coma. Like, do you have any like memories of that? I've always wanted to ask someone who's been in a coma that question. Or like, what was that like? Did it just feel like a long sleep, or like, what was that like?
It was the best sleep I've ever got in my entire life, bro.
Everyone just became excited to die.
The
like,
best sleep
that sounds
I ever got in my life.
Sleep, you don't hear the dog barking. Your back don't hurt.
But do you have any like memories or like dreams or anything like that? I've always wanted to ask that question to someone.
Funny, me personally, I don't remember any dreams or anything from it. I remember that I could like hear what was going on. Like,
that's insane.
Even though I was unconscious, I can like hear bits and pieces, and I pick things up for sure. So word to anybody out there, if you know anybody that's in a coma or like on the verge of being brain dead, they're picking up. So like watch what you tell them.
So like what
watch what you tell them.
Yeah, seriously.
What are some things that you remember from that then? Or is it hard to piece together? You just
Yeah,
knew,
exactly
you
what
heard
I
them?
don't
You felt
exactly what I like. I know there was words.
That's crazy.
It's like a vibe to it. And you know what's trippy? When I went to, apparently I was playing around in other people's dreams because my grandmother yesterday when I took her out to eat, she was like, you know, I told your mom and I told you. She said she would talk to me while I was in a coma, and she said I had a dream about you that you were I saw you in a park and you were skateboarding, and I asked you, I said, Jason, what you doing here? What are you doing here? And she said, I looked at her and I told her, I'm just chilling, but don't worry, I'll be back. I'll be right back.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, dude.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, what do you do hobby wise now? Like, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? Or, you know, obviously it's not necessarily skateboarding anymore, but what's your escape for yourself now? What do you enjoy doing?
I wouldn't call it escape.
He can freestyle, dude. He's nasty on freestyle. Him and Nick Kuiper were going back and forth.
spits.
It was so crazy.
Yeah, I love
Escape's a bad word.
freestyling.
What do you enjoy?
Yeah, I love freestyling.
We got to get a taste of that later.
Oh yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
you
man.
have
That's how we'll
For
wrap
sure.
it up today. We'll wrap it up today. with
I
the freestyle.
regret not recording me and Nick going in a
Nick
Tesla.
has never met anyone that can like hang with him in freestyle, and they were going back and forth. It was it was nothing like I've ever seen.
Yeah, I
But
never met
anyways.
nobody that could really hang with me, man. So Nick impressed me. Shout out to Nick.
But well, yeah, what's the rest of the stuff you like to do?
Toastmasters is another thing which transitioned into me speaking on the stages that I've been on.
Want to explain what Toastmasters is?
Yeah, Toastmasters is a public speaking organization, international, all over the world, where people join to work on getting better at speaking, whether a professional environment or not good at English or just want to learn to speak in front of people. And I do that. I'm actually in 2 clubs. So I do that every week, 2 times a week.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So I guess to kind of wrap this up, unless these guys have any questions, like
Get some bars.
so you're getting your real estate license. So maybe elaborate on that, and then I guess awesome. I mean, amazing story. But what are your next like 2 to 3 year goals?
So I finally decided I was fed up with the 9 to 5 life and being drained and feel like because one thing I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. And I felt myself going into a victim mentality or even feeling like I was trapped in a paycheck and my freedom was gone. So also I've been looking for something to replace skateboarding in my life, which I don't think I'll ever find. But if I figured if I could take the same drive that I had for skateboarding and put it into a career,
Yeah.
real estate would be really close to that because I enjoy looking at houses. I could see myself showing houses. I can see myself putting in the same tenacity and not giving up spirit into prospecting and cold calling and things like that to get more business. So if I was to use that in real estate, I could set myself up for financial freedom. And also I would really like to give my mom a piece of that for what she did for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a driving factor right
I
there.
think the best thing I could tell you on your switching of passions is, I like music, but the greatest thing anyone's ever told me that's helped my heart break on not pursuing music is do what works, don't do what you love. And he said, then you'll have all the time and money to do what you love for the rest of your life. So I think you'll easily be able to transfer that passion for skateboarding that was taken from you and put it in real estate and figure out a way to love it, especially because it works so well.
Man, definitely, man. And it only made sense because, I know guys like you, Brian Casella. I made all these amazing connections with these guys in real estate. And it's like, dude, why are you not in real estate?
Plus, if your clients know your story, they ain't gonna object on nothing.
No. They're like, what do you need us to do? He's like, send the document in before you lose your earnest money.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out here for this event we're doing on Friday, and I just, like I said, I love your story, and I can't wait to hear it again on Friday. And it's just, I feel like your story is universal because no matter how big or small someone's problem is, you have so many solutions for people.
Yeah, man. Again, I appreciate you for bringing me out, believing in me, and
Yeah.
asking me to come out, man, because I'll never turn down a speaking opportunity. That's what I do, man. That's what I do.
Cool.
You want to drop some bars for us?
We out here doing it live. Miracle J on podcast. We live at 5. I'll get a good vibes. Yeah, I'm here forever. This what I do. Stick around forever like tattoos. Don't snooze. Nah, I never lose. I'm here to do this. I'm staying true to me and true to my vision. I do this. I tread the loose leaf place that I don't write. I do this off the tight and smashing it on sight. See forever. I'm getting into real estate. Give me any date and I show you I do it anyway and any day. Trying to stack these hundreds up bigger, but I ain't about the money, but the truth what I deliver. You should wait. See, I ain't nothing nice. You gon' watch his podcast. You might even watch it twice or run it back and hit the replay. I pass the beat to Zach like this is a relay, but this ain't a race. See me on the screen, I'm on the TV. That's probably bigger than you and something that they wanna see. Put me on the big screen and I might change your life. I had a traumatic brain injury, it changed my life, but for the better. You will never see me complain. It's off the brain. You would think that J So was insane. See, that's the name. Why they call me Miracle J? Because I came to Spokane and I did it my way. I speak on stages. I'm making history pages. Doing everything straight. Man, I'm so amazing. That's what they tell me. I got an odor, can you smell me? I don't even smoke, but I'm about to get rich and wealthy. I'ma help the family and help my people. You should invite me back and we should make one sequel. And I could bring you to the H and show you how we do. Cause our music difference is chopped and screwed, so bring it back. One time like that,
You know you gotta chop and screw it.
Style. You never seen me wet.
That's great.
Hey, when he says chopped and screwed, you gotta do it. And if you don't know what it is, YouTube it.
That was crazy.
That was sick.
Bro.
That was fire.